the head coach of the Crimson Tide. Nate Oats, as I said earlier, I'm extremely excited about this opportunity. I met Coach Oats briefly on the day that he was introduced here in Tuscaloosa and told him then I wanted to get him on the show. Thanks to Aaron Jordan, Basketball SID, for making it happen. Good morning, Coach.
Morning. How you doing?
Doing great. Appreciate you carving out a little time for us. I got a lot I want to get to, so I'm just going to jump right in. First of all, I know that energy, excitement, and enthusiasm doesn't guarantee anything. At the same time, I think it's hard to be successful without it. You have hit the ground running. I think we've all been amazed by the schedule that you've kept, the places that you've gotten to in recruiting. I don't know. I was kidding earlier. I had a sleep study done last night. I got sleep apnea because I don't sleep very much. Obviously, you haven't been sleeping very much. What's it been like so far since you've been on board now going on a couple of months?
Yeah, it's been a little busy, but it's been great. I mean, the resources here make it a little easier to be all over the place. I think the first week I was on the job, I think I was on the private jet about every day, so we were able to get a lot of places and get a lot done. And I just going through our roster with what we have next year and what we need for recruiting, and I like our roster for next year. I think we've done a pretty good job. I think we kept the guys we want, and then some other guys. Obviously, there's going to be some movement with a new coach, and just some guys don't really fit the style we wanted to play. And had some really good talks. Some of the guys that left, I'm still, good with, and help them get to better spots where they fit better. And so I feel like the relationships that we were able to forge with the current guys and the guys leaving were good. And I like where we're at in recruiting. And we're going to have a young team this year. We took the grad transfer, Beetle Bolton, out of West Virginia, and he's going to be our only senior. So we're really building this thing here for the next, couple years. We're going to plan on some guys possibly leaving for the draft, and if that happens, I think our recruiting, we're planning on that happening. If it happens, great for them, and we'll replace them. If it doesn't happen, great. We're a little bit older and got some veteran guys, so we're kind of planning for both that, which I think you have to do at this level.
Coach, with the success you had at Buffalo, I think everybody that follows college basketball knew opportunities were coming for you. If not this offseason, then certainly down the road. That's just the reality of being successful at the level that you were successful at to the amount that you were successful at. And you could have stayed at another year at Buffalo, or you could have waited maybe for more offers this year. Why was Alabama the right fit? It seemed like Greg Byrne flew to Buffalo, met with you. He made you the offer. You jumped right on it, and as we said, hit the ground running. What was it about Alabama that you said for you and your family and the staff that you wanted to put together, this is the fit, this is where I can get it done?
You know what? We had two really good, I was the head coach for 4 years at Buffalo. We went to the tournament our first year and then didn't go our second year, and then we really had a good year and beat Arizona pretty soundly in the NCAA tournament that third year. And, we had some interest that year, and me and my wife had talked about it then and really didn't want to leave. We had a lot of seniors coming back at Buffalo that I developed close relationships with, really wanted to coach them. So, it worked out great that we were able to stay and get, decent raise, and we liked it in Buffalo. And then, this year, being in the top 25 pretty much the entire year, pulling the wins off, we knew some stuff would come up. So we talked about what we wanted if we were to leave there, because we were pretty happy there. And we had kind of Crystal's dream house, and we had great recruiting class coming in. I think there's 5 guys that committed to us at Buffalo that are all high major schools right now. After we left, but one of the things was I didn't want to go to a high major school that's continuously finishing in the bottom half of their conference, losing frequently. I've got a lot of confidence in our ability as a staff to win games, but there's still an infrastructure around the program that you sometimes don't have any control over that affects winning and losing. And so we wanted to go somewhere where we felt like that infrastructure surrounding the program was at a level that you could win championships and compete for championships in your league. And, obviously the SEC basketball has gotten really good over the last 5-6 years. With Kentucky's always been great. Now Tennessee was number 1 in the country. Auburn goes to the Final Four. You've got, a lot of Florida's obviously been a good basketball school here for a while now. So the SEC is a good league, but we felt like the resources at Alabama and the infrastructure around men's basketball would allow us to compete for championships. And really, if you're finishing in the top half of the SEC, you've got a great chance to go to the NCAA tournament, which is really what we're trying to do. And then we'll continually, gradually build it to where we want to compete to win the SEC. So that's what we felt you could do here. And then the other thing was, I've got 3 girls. We wanted to go to a city that we felt comfortable raising a family in, that had values like we have, and we felt like Tuscaloosa. We weren't too excited about going to some. There was a couple different job openings this cycle that were in some big cities that necessarily weren't that exciting for us to raise a family in, if that makes any sense. Where
it does.
Yeah, Tuscaloosa is a lot more family oriented and have people a lot closer to our belief system, and the weather's great down here too. That didn't hurt at all. So we felt like it was a great fit, and it felt like a great fit in the 2 months. And plus, we've got one of the best ADs in the country. I mean, if you do your research, Greg's very well respected for a good reason. I've had a great 2 months with him so far.
Yep.
I know, and obviously football's best program in the country, and they've been that way for the last 12 years or so, last 10 years at least. So, I love football. I think you can really use the resources you get out of football to help with basketball. And Coach Saban and the whole football program have been great to us since we've been here, and we want to continue to build that relationship with them too.
That's exactly where I was going to go. I was going to say, clearly, as a coach, one of the most important people is the AD. You and Greg Byrne meshed immediately, and you did on the day you were introduced. You talked about the Nick Saban factor and what it means to be at a school with a coach like that, even though it's another sport. How you can use that success to translate over to basketball, and just to be at a place that's got an iconic coach like that. It was clearly a thrill for you to be joining an athletic program that features Nick Saban.
Yeah, no question. And you know what? We had a recruit on earlier this week, and he's great that way. He was happy to meet with the recruit and his mother, and 10 minutes into the conversation, the mom was ready to sign. So, the kid was great too. I mean, he's good. It's good that he really does want all the programs to get better, and I just spent some time with him going to and coming back from the SEC meetings, and he was talking to me about watching our softball program on TV, and he was talking about different players on the softball team. So I know he really wants all the sports here at Alabama to do well, and he's great that way, and so it is great. Shoot, he is iconic. I mean, I think he's in the modern era, since I've been following sports, and I don't follow all the Olympic sports, so I'm not as in tune with that. But when you're talking about men's basketball and football, I think he's the best coach in the modern era in any of the sports that I pay much attention to.
Something that I picked up on with you that really reminds me of Coach Saban. When Coach Saban got here, and particularly after he signed the big contract extension and got the raise, and people were asking about the money. And he said, yeah, it comes with it. But he said, let me promise you, I worked just as hard when I was making $800 a month. I think of that in regards to you. Just 6 years ago, you were at Romulus High School. Your success there led to an opportunity with Bobby Hurley, as you said, as an assistant at Buffalo, then the head coach, now at Alabama. The fame comes, the money comes. Having a program to run at your disposal like this. But I get the impression from you, when you were coaching at Romulus High School and you were teaching, you got just as much excitement out of that. You put just as much into it. You had just as much passion for coaching at that level as you do at this level. And this is just a product of that passion and of that work ethic. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're dead on. And to be honest with you, I've explained to people, they're like, how much harder did it get when you went to Division I? I was like, shoot, back at Romulus, they didn't have any rules for how much time you could spend with your players. So, I did a lot more now. In this job, there's a lot more. Obviously, you find other ways to work really hard because the NCAA limits your ability to work with the players as much as I'd like, but so you got recruiting, you got all the different stuff that comes with running a big time program like this. That you got to work hard doing that. But if you're talking about actually working with the team, man, I spend a whole lot more time. And you're in at 6 a.m. working players out, then you got school, then you got workouts after school. And I shoot, sometimes in the off season we'd come back a third time. I had players want to workouts on Sunday. I'd work them out Sunday morning before church, go to church, and then you're not able to do that as much here just with the rules. But yeah, when I was a high school coach, I tried to run that program at Romulus as close to a college program as you possibly could at a high school, and I certainly wasn't doing it for the money, because I think if you calculated out the dollars per hour you made, I think you'd be talking cents per hour, not dollars per hour. So, but yeah, it was fun. I mean, I love coaching it. I was all into it. I brought a few guys that worked with me at Romulus are now down here with us in Alabama, and they've got the same passion. Like Charlie Henry's one of my assistants. I got him his first job out of college, volunteer assistant at Romulus, and he worked as hard for me then as he's been in the NBA for 5 years. He was the Bulls G League head coach the last 2. So if you love basketball and you love working with people, you're going to work hard no matter how much you make. But then it's just you catch a couple breaks, and all of a sudden you make a little bit more money. And then, and really when you start making more money, now you got to discipline yourself not to let the money get to you. And it was great. We were at the SEC meetings. They had like an Army general. He worked at Harvard now. He was great. He kind of talked about when, ethics, and when you get all this power under you, that sometimes you start to take shortcuts, and just want to make sure that doesn't happen. You do get a little bit more money and more power, and let's continue to work just as hard, if not harder, on the little stuff that mattered when I was a high school coach. Let's make sure all that stuff matters just as much here.
Coach, you referenced the roster earlier, and I knew you were going to be excited when you got here and you got a chance to work these guys out. It's easy to look at Alabama and say, well, they didn't make the NCAA tournament, so they're not very good. But I thought they should have made it. I thought they had the talent to make it. And, when you got guys like Petty and Galen Smith and obviously Kyra Lewis Jr. and Alex Reese and Herbert Jones, these kids are talented. Then you mesh them with this signing class, 3 signees that Coach Avery Johnson brought in, and now you're bringing in a couple and a transfer as well, as you mentioned in Beetle Bolden. And suddenly you look at this roster, and I know it's on paper, but you say to yourself, wow, Coach Oats has got a chance. I'm speaking for me. I look at it and I say, Coach Oats has got a chance to win right away here. And I don't want to put any extra pressure on you, but I think you're going to have a pretty good team.
I agree 100%. I mean, Tyler Lewis is one of the best point guards in the country. Petty's one of the best shooters in the country. Herb Jones is one of the best overall players. And he's an elite level defender and can get to the rim. We got to work on his shooting. Galen plays so hard and so physical and rebounds it. So then you add in a first team All-American JUCO player in Rojas that's really brings a lot of toughness that we want to bring. And he's also really skilled to kind of play that 3-4 spot. And I think, and then you look at the 4 freshmen that come in, we've got kind of all the spots really filled with Shackelford and Forbes kind of being combo guards, shooting guards, and then Juwan Gary being at 3-4, and then Raymond being a 5. And then people forget, Fleming was redshirted last year, and he's really coming along. He's lost weight since we've got here. He's getting himself trimmed up. So I think we've got a shot to be pretty good, and I'd be really disappointed if we didn't make the NCAA tournament, to be honest with you.
All right. You mentioned being in Destin for the spring meetings, and Tevin Mack has decided to move on. I was struck by your comments, and you just said, hey, if it takes you a couple of months to decide whether or not you want to be here, then maybe you don't want to be here. So it just seemed like that he had an opportunity to stay if he wanted to. It didn't happen, so you're moving on, and I know you can't talk about players that haven't signed, but I'm pretty confident from what I'm reading that you're going to fill that roster spot that's being opened up by his departure here pretty quickly.
Yeah, I can't talk about somebody until they sign, but yeah, I mean everybody's out there
knows.
Everybody talks about it except me. I can't talk about it. So. You guys can talk about it when we hang up, I guess. But no, I'm excited. I look, and that's the thing too. Like, is Tevin a good player? Yes. If his head was right, if he's listening to the right people, I think we really could have helped his career out. Because if you look at his numbers, they were just so compared to what his talent should have been, here last year. But you know what? That's fine. Like, I really am not stressed. Really feel like God's going to bring the right people into this program, and I don't get too stressed about it. I work as hard as I can in recruiting. If we lose somebody, we lose them. We'll get somebody better to replace them, and I feel that way on this deal. If he still questioning whether he wanted to be here, then you know what? Then you don't need to be here. So if after going through our workouts for a month with us and realizing how we're going to play and how you're going to be utilized, if you don't think it's right for you, then that's fine. Then you know what? We'll get some guys that really want to be here. That's the thing too with recruiting. I try not to pressure guys into committing here because I don't really want guys that felt like they were forced into committing. I want guys that are 100% sold on this is the spot for them and it's going to be the best place for them. And so even when kids come on recruiting visits, we sell them as hard as we can, but I don't twist their arm and demand a commitment on the spot. I want them to be sold. This is the right spot for them. When they come here, they know they made the right decision, and they can help you when you coach them. So if a kid's not sold this is the right spot for them, then I don't think it's going to be hard to coach them. So I think it's probably better we just move on.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
100%. Nate Oats with us here on the Bud Light Hot. I'm going to wrap up with a couple more questions. I had Steve Eck on earlier, and he was raving about James Rojas, and I know you've talked about his toughness. Since we were talking about him earlier, I want to get, and you've known him since he was in high school, would have been with you at Buffalo had you not came to Alabama, to give us a little more insight on him and also when he might be here to enroll.
Well, yeah, we've been watching James since he was early in high school. They came to our team camps, and he was up at individual camps and whatnot. And he's a really skilled, tough, hard-nosed winner is what he is. And we were super excited to get him at Buffalo. But shoot, the kid was, I think he's ranked the 4th best junior college player in the country. He was a first-team All-American, so that puts him in the top 5 junior college country right now. And to get a kid that caliber to be able to step in right away, he's a grown man. He's not, and some high school kids come in with a grown man body, but this kid's played 2 years of college basketball. So we're excited to get him. I think he's not going to be able to come till in August, like the fall. For the fall, he won't be here this summer. The SEC has a rule that your math, English, and science have to be taken sitting in a class. And he had taken some of those classes online, planning to come to us at Buffalo. I guess some of the classes just works out better at where he went to junior college at Hutch. He took them online, so they always had their guys take them online. Well, then the SEC, we didn't necessarily plan on being in the SEC. So now that he wants to play for us in the SEC, he's got to take some of those classes sitting in a chair, and so he's got to do that over the summer. So he's finishing up his coursework over the summer, and then he'll be with us in the fall.
Super. All right, we're going to get to your camps before we wrap it up. One more thing I want to ask you about, because I always say every press conference I've ever been to for a basketball coach, no coach ever stands behind the podium and says, you know what, we're going to be lethargic, we're going to walk it up the court, we're going to play slow, we're going to be tedious. Everybody says we want to play fast, we want to shoot it, and then inevitably I see coaches that say that on the press conference day, and then I watch their teams and they get in a bigger stage and they don't do it. They play a different way for whatever reason. I believe you're going to play the way you've always played, the way you played at Buffalo. I don't think it matters whether it's the SEC or the NBA. Nate Oats is going to play the style of basketball that he said he's going to play. Am I right there?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that tweet. It was the guy Jordan Sperber on Twitter. He did a little clip of like all these new coaches that got hired this offseason, and and they were all talking about playing fast. So. Yeah, did you see that tweet?
I didn't see it, but I'm laughing because that's, again, nobody ever stands up and says we're going to be boring and we're going to walk it up and score 50 points a game. But some coaches say it, but they don't do it.
Yeah, listen. You should go find that.
I will.
It's hilarious. He spliced together all these coaches that in their introductory press conference said they're going to play fast. Well, I had a bunch of people sending it to me and text, because I was in there. I was one of them. So, but there's probably 20 of them that were in there. So the thing is, I think we were fourth in the country in offensive pace of play last year. I know we were number one in transition points per game. We've been in the top 10, I think, in pace of play, like offensive pace of play the last few years. So our numbers back up how we play. And I ain't going backwards. We got better athletes now at Alabama than we had at Buffalo. And so, the better the athletes we get, I think the more sense it makes to get it up and down. Yeah, I'm looking right now. We were fourth in average possession length on offense last year. The year before, we were fifth. So we've been top 5 in the country on pace of play on the offensive side of the ball in the last 2 years. So everybody else can talk about it. And I actually had one other head coach in Division I send me that. He did not get hired this cycle, so he was not in those clips. But he sent me that clip, and he's like, everybody else is lying. You're the only one that's got stats to back up what you're talking about. But yeah, everybody look. You know what I'll do? I'll give Mick Cronin a lot of credit at UCLA. Go look at his press conference, because they asked him about his style play, and he didn't try to lie and say he's going to play fast. He said, I think he said something about playing fast. He goes, my style is going to be WIN, win, and he does win. They do it, at a little bit different pace than a lot of places, but he wins everywhere. He's been winning high level since then. So at least he was honest and didn't try to tell everybody he's going to be, playing fast. But yeah, everybody wants to play fast. But here's the other thing: all the players want to play fast too. And then when you get them in a practice that they have to go fast, I think they start to guess how fast they really want to play. So we're going to get them trained in though, where they're playing pretty really fast, more than pretty fast, and I think they'll like it once they get in shape enough to play that way.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for you, but I get a feeling the way you practice, there might be a few guys making some pizzas, if you know what I mean, at some point in time. All right, listen, with your enthusiasm and the way you handle things, I got a feeling these kids that come to camp here at Alabama, I know, and this is another thing a lot of head coaches do. Their name's on the camp, and then they come out and they give a little speech, and the next thing you know, you don't see them again until the end of the camp, and the assistants and the GAs are handling the camp. I get to fill in the Oats basketball camp, and you start next month. You've got several different camps. I am confident in saying you're going to be right down there in the middle of it.
Yeah, you know what? I was a high school coach. I used to work the camps. I used to run them when I was at Rhinos. So I like the camps. I didn't put my name on it. I really want it to be
the Alabama basketball camp, right?
Yeah, I really do. I want it to be about the program and not me. But I am going to be there. Now, I will say this. I think we went through this as a staff, because I'm also trying. I've got my kids go to school up in Buffalo until June 25th. They go super late. So I've been trying not to be more than 2 or 3 weeks without getting back home. So I think one of those days I'm going to have to miss the first day of camp, just because might be the day right after Father's Day, if I remember right. But anyways, I'm going to be there as much as possible. Now, I will say this. I have learned with recruiting being heavy, in June, and trying to figure out where everybody's going to be and get guys before you go out to see them in July. And now you can actually go out recruiting in June. I'm not able to be there 100% of every waking hour, because we got to get back up.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And I wasn't trying to infer that. I was just making the point that I know you're going to make sure these campers get good instruction.
No question. And our assistants will be down in there. Like we've got some really good shoot. Adam Bowman ran my camps at Buffalo, and they kind of skyrocketed and went through. It helps you to win, and then we actually do a great job making sure our players are great with all the campers too, and they do a great job, and I think that speaks to their character. So I really make a big point of emphasis to our players on what I want to see out of them with camp too. So, but yeah, I mean we're excited for camp. Hopefully, camp numbers go up. They'll see how we run it. I think they'll love it, and then hopefully they keep coming back, and we get more and more to keep coming to camps.
Visit BamaBasketballCamps.com. They start on June 17th, and they run all the way through mid-July. For more information, again, that's BamaBasketballCamps.com. Coach, I really appreciate the time. It's flown by. I'm telling you, man, I could talk to you for an hour, but I know you don't have that much time, and we got to get to break. And I know you got a good assistant there as far as handling all your media with Aaron Jordan. I appreciate him helping to set this interview up. He's a good guy. You're going to enjoy working with him.
Yeah, he's great. So I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys have a good day.